Good morning and greetings from Alberta. I just wanted to continue my ongoing series of uncomfortable shit that people don't want to talk about. So I hear the media quite often talk about the increase in crime, the increase in auto theft, the increase in homicides, but they don't ever really explain things or do any real good comparisons to the past or give us an actual real picture of what's going on. And quite often, the stats they use are more like crime rates and things like that, where it's per 100,000 people. So some of the information I'm going to show here is per 100,000 people. But I would like you to keep in mind that as our population grows, and I'm going to do some comparisons here from like 2014 before the Liberals, or right when the Liberals are taking power, 2014, 2015, up until the most recent data that I can get. Quite often it's 2021 or 2022. Canada tends to be about 2 years behind in data reporting. So we're always scrambling to find the latest information. So when you see some of this information per 100,000 people, please remember that as our population grows, if our crime is maintaining a relatively consistent pattern and our population is growing, that means crime is like decreasing. If our population is growing, which is widening the gap, which is adding more people to the 100,000 per calculations, that if crime is still increasing as our population increases, that tells me that there's a lot of crime going on. And just to compare, in 2014, Canada's population was 35 million plus. In 2024, our population is 40 million plus. So in about 10 years, our population has grown by over 5 million people. So violent crime certainly seems to be increasing. Definitely the severity of the crimes. Non-violent and violent crimes are increasing, but it seems like the severity of the crimes has taken a pretty big spike. Leading into 2014, it looks like overall Canada was basically on a decline overall for crime. We had some spikes in the 70s and the 90s. It seems like we had a little bit more violence going on there. I don't know exactly why. But definitely, like the media is reporting, we have the most homicides in 30 years, which is true and also somewhat deceiving. If you look, for example, in 2014, we had about 524 homicides. In comparison to 2022, 8 years later, we had about 874. And recent ones are, it's getting out of control. So I went back and looked at Stats Canada. They report back to 1961. So I was looking through all the years, and it looks to me like our most violent year for homicides was, I believe, 1991. And we had 754 homicides, which was quite a lot. But now that we're hitting over 800, it's not just the most homicides in 30 years, because I believe they're going by the crime rate again, the per 100,000. It's the most homicides we've seen ever. When we're hitting 800 and above, we're in uncharted territory for Canadians. Now, in relation to other countries, you know, Canada is a relatively safe place. Most Canadians are safe to walk about their neighborhoods freely in comparison to, say, South America or other continents where there are much more violent places. There's no doubt. But there's also no doubt that Canadians are facing an increase in all kinds of crimes. Homicides, sexual assaults are going through the roof. Hate crimes reported to police. It's pretty sad to see this. Now, again, take this with a grain of salt, because this is hate crimes reported to police. It is very hard to find convictions. So I can understand, in today's woke society where, words are violence and all the silly things we're dealing with, that there's probably a lot of fake crimes and offended, hurt feelings people crying, and then the police show up and the situation is resolved because, it's not illegal to hurt somebody's feelings or something. And I don't mean to diminish the true hate crimes that are happening that definitely did increase. But in comparison, like 2014, we had, I believe it was 1,295 reported hate crimes. In 2022, we saw 3,576. So this is well over 100% increase. And again, I can't find how many convictions or how many of those allegations are thrown out of court or never make it to court. But there's definitely been an increase in overall violence and hatred towards people. And this is not including the most recent ones. That number was from 2022. But this is not including the most recent spike in hate crimes in relation to Israelis and Palestinians battling it out on Canadian streets and, targeting Jewish neighborhoods or near Jewish neighborhoods. Or I'm sure the terrible things that are being done to the other side too. Who knows what's true or not, and how bad it truly is. But it's definitely worse than it's ever been. So we're seeing these crazy spikes and increases. And then I'm thinking of like the Liberals' firearm bans. In 2020, I believe it was Bill C-21. They banned scary-looking assault-style weapons. And I still don't even understand what that is. What's an assault-style weapon? I mean, if I take this coffee mug and throw it at somebody, it's now an assault mug. I would never do that, of course, to the RCMP watching, top of the morning. But anything can be an assault-style something. That's like saying this is beef-styled beef. It's not beef, it's something else, but it's in the style of beef, or simulated, or supposed to taste like beef, but it's not beef. Like, it's not even a thing. Imagine going to a store and they're like, have a chicken-style chicken sandwich. It ain't chicken, but it's styled after chicken. Like, it's not even a legal term for firearms. It's ridiculous. And according to the RCMP, fully automatic firearms were prohibited to Canadians in 1977. I was born in 1979. My entire life, I've been prohibited from owning real assault weapons, or weapons that have the ability to function in fully automatic. That's an assault weapon, a military-grade assault weapon. A semi-automatic firearm, which is one trigger pull, one projectile, is the same as every other firearm we have in Canada, mostly. So did that firearm ban help stop crime? Then, secondly, they had the 2023 handgun ban, and that's where people can no longer sell, I believe, transport, import, or pass down to inherit to a younger generation in your family. Now it's my understanding that if you have a restricted firearms license and you own handguns, you can't pass them down to your children even if they get licenses. I understand that the police just are supposed to confiscate and destroy these weapons. So they've done all this focus on legal, vetted, background checked, some of the most safest people in Canada who tend to commit less crime than the general population, as we see crazy amounts of crime spike. And what have we gotten out of it? What have we gotten out of it? You know, they want to crack down on the internet. They want to crack down on protests. They want to crack down on Canadians' ability to say whatever they want in a reasonable manner. You know, they want to freeze bank accounts. They want to do everything they can to shut down and shut people up, including using identity politics, where they will insult you and call you terrible things like a racist to stifle discussion and stop questioning. While we have this crazy spike of actual real crime and theft and terrible things happening to Canadians. And lastly, just to show the hypocrisy of the situation, the Canadian government hired foreign hunters to hunt and kill deer from a helicopter using firearms that are prohibited in Canada. And they hunted these deer from a helicopter, which I do believe in most of Canada is illegal to do. These hunters apparently used AR-15s. And I don't know for sure if they were fully automatic or had the ability with the select fire. I don't know for sure if Americans can get different variations than Canadians. I'm sure they probably can. So as far as I know, definitely in Alberta, it's illegal to harass, to spot, or to hunt animals from an aircraft, unless you have some crazy approval and licensing, which these foreign hunters had. But I believe the Canadian government spent almost $1 million to pay these guys to come in to hunt in a way that's illegal to Canadians from an aircraft using firearms that are prohibited and illegal to Canadians. And probably they had more ammunition in the magazine than is legally allowed, you know, our 5-round limit in our magazines. I don't know if they breached that as well or not, but I don't know. So let's just hammer on the people that don't commit crime. We'll spit in their face and hire outsiders to come and kill Canadian animals when Canadians could have done that for free, or we could have donated the meat to food banks, or the indigenous communities could have used it and harvested it for their purposes. And while we're doing all this and wasting all this money on gun buybacks that aren't happening, we're just throwing money down the toilet as everything seems to get worse. So I certainly hope Canadians remain safe. All the best to you and your families, and just, you know, keep your heads up. Maybe don't walk around staring at your cell phones, and be aware of your surroundings, because things are heating up. And as everything gets more expensive and people get more stressed out and the stress on society as a whole increases, might be getting pretty scary. You know, maybe leave your keys at the front door, so when people kick your front door in, you know, they have an easier time stealing your vehicle. Maybe make them a sandwich. Tell them Justin Trudeau says hi. Don't know what to tell you. Be safe. Have a great day. Take care.